Rich AF, The Winning Money Mindset That Will Change Your Life, by Vivian Tu. Introduction. Imagine for a moment that you're on a weekend getaway with friends. The sun is out, the mood is light, and someone has the brilliant idea to buy a board game. Not just any board game, but a special Hamptons-themed edition of Monopoly. You laugh at how cheesy it is, but the idea of a game night starts to sound like fun. Later that evening, the board is unfolded, the fake money is passed out, and the dice begin to roll. But something is off. One of your friends, a young man named Adam, is playing differently. He's making moves you've never seen before. He's buying properties with money he doesn't seem to have, leveraging the bank in a way that feels like he's breaking the rules. But he's not. While you and your friends are playing the game you learned as children, Adam is playing a completely different game. Tensions rise. Arguments break out. It's a bloodbath. When it's all over, and Adam has won a crushing victory, you finally ask him his secret. He just shrugs and says, "Most people have never actually read the full instruction brochure for Monopoly. But I have." That simple story, my friend, is not just about a board game. It's a perfect metaphor for the world of money. We all think we know how to play. We're taught the basics: work hard, save your money, don't spend too much. But what if I told you that the wealthiest people in the world aren't just playing by those rules? They're playing with a completely different rulebook, one that most of us never even know exists. That's the powerful secret at the heart of the book we're exploring today, Rich AF by Vivian Tu. Vivian, known to millions online as your rich BFF, is a former Wall Street trader who pulled back the curtain on this hidden world. She saw firsthand that the path to real wealth wasn't about clipping coupons or skipping your morning coffee. It was about understanding the system, learning the strategies the rich have passed down for generations, and turning that knowledge into power. Today, I'm going to share that hidden rulebook with you. By the time we're done, you will understand how the rich truly think, how they act, and how they make their money work for them, not the other way around. You will see that becoming wealthy isn't some impossible dream reserved for a lucky few. It's a skill. And it's a skill that you can learn, starting right now. Book summary. Our story begins with a truth that can be a little hard to hear. The American dream, as our parents and grandparents knew it, is mostly a myth today. The idea that you can just work hard at a steady job, save diligently, and retire a millionaire. Well, for most of us, that math just doesn't work anymore. Vivian Tu tells us that the system wasn't designed by accident. It was designed by the rich, for the rich. For generations, the real secrets to building wealth were shared in exclusive circles, on golf courses and in country clubs. Meanwhile, the rest of us were sold a simplified, and often misleading, story. We were told to focus on scarcity. Cut back. Deprive yourself. We were taught to play checkers, while they were playing a grand game of chess. But what if you could learn to think like a chess master? Vivian learned these secrets not in a classroom, but on the trading floors of Wall Street. She grew up in a frugal immigrant home, where reusing Ziploc bags and saving every penny was the path to security. But when she got to J.P. Morgan, she noticed something profound. The truly wealthy people around her weren't obsessed with scrimping. They were obsessed with investing and growing. They weren't just protecting their money, they were putting it to work. They understood that their money could be an employee that works for them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, never asking for a day off. This is the first great mindset shift. The rich understand that they are lazy, brilliantly lazy. They know a human being can only work so many hours in a day. But money? Money never sleeps. So, they focus not on working harder, but on making their money work harder. How do they do this? It starts by breaking the rules we were taught. The first rule we must unlearn is that talking about money is rude or tacky. Vivian reveals that in wealthy circles, it's the opposite. They talk about salaries, investments, and tax strategies all the time. It's how they learn and stay ahead. They share information freely, knowing that a rising tide lifts all boats. They operate from an abundance mindset, believing there's enough success to go around, rather than a scarcity mindset, which sees life as a zero-sum game where you have to fight for every scrap. They also think differently about what money is for. For many people, a pay raise means it's time to buy a flashier car or a bigger TV. These are what we call liabilities, things that lose value over time. A rich person, however, is more likely to take that same money and buy an asset, something that will make them more money. Instead of a new Lamborghini that loses a third of its value the moment it leaves the dealership, they might buy a simple duplex. It's not glamorous. It won't get 1,000 likes on Instagram. But they can rent it out, have their tenants pay the mortgage, and in the end, own a valuable property for which they paid very little out of their own pocket. They don't care about impressing you. They care about building a foundation of wealth that you can't even see. This brings us to the most important principle in the entire book, a piece of advice so simple yet so powerful it can change your entire financial life. Are you ready? Here it is. You can only save as much as you earn, but you can always earn more. Think about that. If you make $50,000 a year, even if you somehow manage to spend $0, the absolute most you can save is $50,000. Your saving is capped. But your earning? Your potential to earn is limitless. This is why Vivian begins her practical advice not with budgeting, but with your career. Most money books get it backward. They tell you to start by cutting back. Vivian says, no, you start by growing. You focus on the income side of the equation first. She shares her own incredible journey as a roadmap. Her first paid job was as a 19-year-old club promoter in Chicago. The job was simple. For every person she got to come to a bar, she earned $5. It was a commission-based job where she ate what she killed. She quickly realized it was far easier and more empowering to figure out how to get a few more people to show up on a Saturday night than it was to stress over buying the cheapest brand of yogurt at the grocery store. This taught her a fundamental lesson. Focus your energy where you have the most room for growth. But not all jobs are so straightforward. Vivian's time on Wall Street taught her another crucial lesson. It's not just about how hard you work, it's about the environment you work in. You can be the most talented person in the room, but if your manager isn't in your corner, pounding the table for you when it's time for promotions and raises, your career will hit a dead end. She tells a powerful story about her time at J.P. Morgan. She had two incredible senior mentors who were tough on her but always advocated for her. They were invested in her success. But after a management change, she was moved to a new boss who was the opposite. He was dismissive, sexist, and even racist. He would take her brilliant work and present it as his own. One day, he bowed at her and mockingly asked if her cardigan was a kimono. In that moment, she knew it was over. It didn't matter how hard she worked. This man was never going to fight for her. Her potential in that environment was capped. So, she left. She went to a new industry, tech and media, working in sales at BuzzFeed. There, the environment was different. The top performers were celebrated, and the path to joining them was clear: deliver results. She found a place where her hard work was valued, and she thrived. The lesson here is profound. You must know your worth, but you must also find a place that is willing to pay for that worth. This requires 3 skills that rich people have mastered. First, you have to learn to sell your skills, not just your job title. Your career isn't a ladder, it's a climbing wall. You can move sideways, up, or even down to get to a better position. The skills you learn in one industry, like sales, communication, or project management, are often transferable to another. Don't box yourself in. Second, you have to work your network. Rich people are always having conversations, even when they're happy in their jobs. They know that opportunities arise from being in the right place at the right time. Your network allows you to be in multiple rooms at once. And third, you have to know when a place just isn't right for you. You need to be able to recognize a toxic or stagnant environment and have the courage to get out. This all leads to the first big, actionable step: asking for more money. Vivian says negotiating a raise is one of the highest paying jobs you can have. Think about it. If you spend 2 hours preparing for a conversation that results in a $5,000 raise, you've effectively made $2,500 an hour. Who would turn that down? Yet, so many of us are terrified to ask. We're afraid of offending our manager, of being told no, or of being seen as greedy. Rich people don't think this way. They know the company isn't a family, it's a business. They know the money for their raise isn't coming from their boss's pocket. And they know the worst thing that can happen is they say no. But the answer is always no until you ask. To help with this, Vivian introduces a brilliant tool: the brag book. It's a simple folder, either digital or physical, where you collect every piece of praise, every successful project, every tangible number that proves your value. When a client emails you to say "I couldn't have done it without you," you save it. When you grow a social media channel by a certain number of followers, you document it. This isn't for your ego, it's your secret weapon. When it's time to ask for a raise, you're not just saying, "I think I deserve more." You're coming with a folder full of cold, hard proof of exactly why. Once you've maximized your earning potential, you can then turn your attention to managing that money. This is where budgeting comes in, but not the kind of budgeting that makes you feel miserable. Vivian reframes the budget entirely. It's not a punishment, it's a plan for your dreams. She tells the story of her first big, luxurious purchase after starting on Wall Street: a beautiful black leather Prada bag. She had her eye on it for months. It was the most money she had ever spent on a single item. But she was able to buy it, guilt-free, because she had a plan. She had a budget. The budget didn't stop her from getting what she wanted, it was the very thing that made it possible. A budget, in the rich AF way, isn't about what you have to give up. It's about consciously deciding where your money goes so you can afford the things that truly matter to you. The first step is a spending audit. You need to look, without judgment, at where your money has been going. It's like cleaning out a closet. You have to pull everything out and see what you're working with before you can start organizing. Once you know where your money is going, you can choose a budgeting style that works for you. Vivian offers several, but one of the simplest and most effective is the 50/30/20 method. It's beautifully straightforward. 50% of your after-tax income goes to your needs like housing and groceries, 30% goes to your wants like dining out and entertainment, and 20% goes to your savings and investments. This framework ensures you're covering your bases while still having room for fun. But within that wants category, Vivian introduces two more transformative ideas: value-based spending and non-negotiables. Value-based spending asks you to change the question from "Can I afford this?" to "Is it worth the work I put in to get the money for this?" You can calculate your effective hourly wage and then, when you're about to buy something, ask yourself, "Am I willing to work X number of hours for this item?" This simple shift in perspective can dramatically change your spending habits, steering you toward things that bring you genuine value and away from mindless consumption. Non-negotiables are the one or two luxuries in your life that you refuse to give up, no matter what. For Vivian, it's her eyelash extensions. They cost about $2,500 a year. To an outsider, that might sound frivolous. But for her, it's not about the lashes. It's about the daily confidence it gives her, the time it saves her in the morning. It's a trade-off she is happy to make. Everyone deserves to have a non-negotiable. The rule is simple: you can afford anything, you just can't afford everything. By identifying what truly brings you joy, you can build it into your budget and cut back ruthlessly on the things you don't care about. Now that you have a plan, you need a place to put your money. This is where we learn to bank like a rich person. Most of us pick a bank for silly reasons. Maybe they had a branch on our college campus or offered a free tote bag. Rich people, however, treat banks as partners they can leverage. They understand that a bank needs their money to make money. When you deposit your cash, the bank doesn't just let it sit there. They lend it out and charge interest. So, your business is valuable to them. Because of this, rich people aren't loyal to just one bank. They have a team of accounts across different institutions to take advantage of the best perks. They might have a checking account at one bank that offers unlimited ATM fee reimbursements and a savings account at another that offers a much higher interest rate. This brings us to one of the most powerful and simple tools for saving: the high-yield savings account, or HISE. A traditional savings account might pay you a tiny fraction of a percent in interest each year. A HISE, on the other hand, can pay you 10, 20, or even 50 times that amount. It's one of the easiest ways to earn free money on the cash you're already saving. And what are you saving for? Vivian breaks it down into two types of funds. First is your emergency fund. This is your financial safety net, designed to cover 3 to 6 months of living expenses in case of an unexpected disaster, like a job loss or a medical emergency. Vivian tells a harrowing, and kind of funny, story about accidentally chopping off the tip of her finger with a bread knife on her 25th birthday. The ER visit left her with a $1,300 bill. Because she had an emergency fund, she could pay it without going into debt or derailing her financial goals. This fund is your number one priority. It's what gives you the security to make decisions from a place of abundance, not desperation. Second are your sinking funds. These are savings accounts for specific, planned big expenses in the future: a down payment on a home, a wedding, or a dream vacation. By breaking down a large goal into smaller monthly contributions, you make it feel achievable and you give every dollar a specific job, which makes you less likely to raid the account for other things. Once your earning is maximized, your budget is set, and your savings are secure, you are ready for the final and most powerful step: investing. This, Vivian says, is the true secret. You cannot save your way to rich. You must invest. Investing can seem complicated and intimidating, full of jargon and scary charts. But Vivian simplifies it beautifully. Investing is not about being a stock market genius who can predict the future. In fact, she tells a story from her early days on Wall Street when she thought she was a genius. She put $4,000 into a biotech stock she had researched obsessively, one that a senior expert had even praised. The company's flagship drug then failed its final trials, and the stock tanked. She lost half her money in a single day. The lesson? Even the experts can't predict the future. So, what's the alternative? Instead of trying to pick individual winning stocks, you bet on the entire economy. Over the long term, the market as a whole has always gone up. There have been downturns and recessions, but it has always recovered and reached new heights. The simplest way to bet on the whole economy is through funds, specifically, index funds or ETFs. An index fund is like a basket that holds tiny pieces of hundreds of the biggest companies. For example, an S&P 500 index fund holds a piece of the 500 largest companies in the U.S. By buying a single share of that fund, you are instantly diversified. You're no longer betting on one company to succeed, you're betting on the American economy as a whole to grow over time. And that, my friend, is a much, much safer bet. Vivian provides a clear order of operations for where to put your investment dollars. First, if your employer offers a 401k with a matching program, You contribute enough to get the full match. This is literally free money, a 100% return on your investment before it has even had a chance to grow. After that, you fund a tax-advantaged retirement account like an IRA. These come in two flavors: traditional, where you get a tax break now, and Roth, where your money grows and can be withdrawn completely tax-free in retirement. Then, you can max out your 401k, and finally, put any remaining investment money into a regular individual brokerage account. You don't need a lot of money to start. You can invest with just $5 or $10. The most important thing is to start early and be consistent, because the real magic of investing comes from compound interest, your money earning money, and then that new money earning even more money. It's a snowball effect that, over decades, can turn small, regular contributions into a fortune. The final piece of this puzzle is what Vivian calls your FU number. This isn't about retiring in the traditional sense. It's the amount of money you need to have invested so that you can live off the returns and never have to work a job you don't love again. It's the number that gives you the ultimate freedom to say F you to a bad boss, a toxic workplace, or a career that no longer fulfills you, and go do whatever you want with your life. The formula is simple. It's your desired annual spending divided by a safe withdrawal rate, which Vivian suggests as 4%. So, if you feel you could live comfortably on $100,000 a year, your FU number would be $2.5 million. That might sound like a huge number, but with the power of consistent investing and compound growth over time, it's more achievable than you think. This number is the ultimate goal. It's what all the other steps, earning more, budgeting wisely, saving diligently, and investing consistently, are leading to. It's not just about getting rich. It's about becoming free. Commentary. As we step back and look at the landscape Vivian Tu has painted for us, what becomes clear is that Rich AF is not just a book about money. It's a book about power. It's a declaration that financial literacy is a fundamental right, and that the knowledge to build wealth should belong to everyone, not just a privileged few. The most profound lesson here is the shift from a mindset of shame and scarcity to one of agency and abundance. For generations, many of us have been taught to feel that our financial struggles are a personal failing. We're told we're bad with money, or that we're not disciplined enough. Vivian dismantles this narrative completely. She shows us that we've been playing a rigged game, but that once you understand the real rules, you can start to win. Her reframing of budgeting is particularly powerful. In a culture that glorifies deprivation and financial shaming, the idea of a budget as a tool for joy, a plan to afford your non-negotiables, is a radical act of self-compassion. It gives us permission to enjoy the fruits of our labor, to live a life that feels rich now, while still building a foundation for a secure future. What I also find so compelling is the emphasis on action over perfection. You don't need to become a Wall Street wizard overnight. You don't need to have a perfect budget from day one. You just need to take the first step. Start the brag book. Open the high-yield savings account. Invest your first $20 in an index fund. Each small action is a vote for the financially independent person you are becoming. It's a quiet rebellion against a system that has, for too long, relied on our confusion and our silence. So, how can you begin to put these powerful ideas into practice today? Here are 3 simple actions inspired by the book. First, break the taboo. Have one honest conversation about money with someone you trust this week. It could be a friend, a sibling, or a partner. You could talk about your salary, your savings goals, or even just your fears. The simple act of speaking about it out loud begins to strip away its power to intimidate us. Second, start your brag book. Right now. Open a new document or a new folder in your email. Find one email, one message, or one memory of a recent accomplishment at work or school, and save it. This is the first piece of evidence in the case for your own value. And third, take 10 minutes to open a high-yield savings account. It's one of the easiest financial wins you can get. Move a small amount of money into it, even just $50. Watching that money earn more interest than it would in a traditional account is a small but tangible reminder that you can make your money work for you. That was a summary of Rich AF by Vivian Tu. We've journeyed through the core principles today, but I hope you feel, as I do, that this is just the beginning. A summary can show you the map, but it can't take you on the journey. The real transformation happens when you read the book for yourself. It's in the quiet moments when one of Vivian's stories resonates with your own life, or a simple phrase unlocks a new way of thinking. This summary is a doorway. If you felt a spark of hope or a flicker of curiosity today, I encourage you to walk through it. Grab a copy of the book, because reading it isn't just about learning, it's about claiming the power to design a life of richness, on your own terms. A link to the book is in the description below. Also, if this journey through Vivian Tu's wisdom has brought you any value, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. That way, you won't miss our next exploration into another life-changing book from the billionaire's bookshelf. Let's continue to learn and grow, together.